Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Aliberti, and I am host here at Adoptions from the Heart TV. I am really excited to welcome Marie and her caseworker, Sheila. Marie came to our agency inquiring about our services and then made the choice to parent her children. So we're really happy to just share a little bit about her story, others who may be in a similar situation as Marie had been. So welcome, Marie, and welcome, Sheila.
Hello.
So Marie, why don't you start with sharing a little bit about your background when you first realized you were pregnant, having the kids, and what made you reach out to our agency?
So I didn't realize I was pregnant until actually going into labor. I presented to the hospital with back pain, found out that I was going to be giving birth to not only one baby, but two babies. And at home, I already have a 3-year-old. And then I had my first set of twins that were going to be turning 1 shortly.
How did that feel to be told that you were about to have another set of twins practically a year later? What were you feeling in that moment?
It was definitely shocking. Wasn't expecting that when I was going to the hospital for back pain, that's the news that I was going to be receiving.
For those listening in, this is very common for women to not realize that they're pregnant for a variety of reasons, whether it has to do with their body and what they're going through every month, and also just life gets in the way. And sometimes we don't realize that we're going through this. So I just want to reassure folks that this is very common and we're actually seeing it more and more here at the agency. Maria, at what point did you decide that you wanted to connect with an adoption agency, and what led you specifically to Adoptions from the Heart?
Shortly before the boys were born, because in my head I was just thinking, like, what am I going to do with 2 more kids, because it was unexpected. But I had already had 3, and like I said, the first set of twins I had weren't even 1 yet, so I was like, what am I going to do with 2 more children?
And did the hospital social worker maybe come in and give you like a list of possible agencies? Was there anything in particular that prompted you to call our agency, or maybe just people?
She had mentioned you guys because she said like open adoption or closed adoption, and I said like open adoption, so she connected me with you guys.
And then what was your experience when Sheila, your assigned social worker, came out to meet with you? What was that like when she walked in? What type of information did she go over with you? Did you feel any sort of pressure to, go the adoption route?
No pressure. She just explained to me like the process and the paperwork process that I would have to fill out and go through, like the background checks and everything, like health forms and everything.
Sure. And Sheila, how about for you? Let's welcome you to the conversation. What was it like for you to meet with Marie and counsel her on her situation?
Marie was so lovely, and I knew that she was overwhelmed in the moment. Understandably, as she said, she was dealing with the 3 small children at home. She works full time. She, has some personal things going on in her life. I was appreciative of the opportunity to go in and speak with her and just try to get a sense of everything that she was having to navigate, and then provide as much information as I could about what her options were in this situation, with adoption being one of those options that she should consider, as she was making her decisions about what to do with her children. She also had this situation where one of the children was in the nursery, but one of them was in the NICU. He was in need of some extra care in the NICU, so she was processing and dealing with all of that as well. So it was a lot to navigate, as well as having 3 little kids at home too.
Marie, we're trying to have our audience and our community better understand like the mindset that you're in, and the back and forthness that may be going through your head of what to do, right? And the concept of bringing Sheila there was not to say, okay, let's do adoption. It was to really talk through what is adoption, what would parenting look like, and kind of go through the pros and cons of the different options. Do you want to maybe shed light on that with your experience with Sheila?
So like she said, I was like very overwhelmed. I had the 3 kids I already have to think about. And then I had the 2 boys, the twins, and my younger one was in the NICU because he needed some extra help. Just talking to her kind of gave me like the pros and cons of if I did choose adoption, what that would look like. Obviously, I had the option of parenting, which I chose, but just kind of talking through what could be, or just my options on what to do.
Sheila, I don't know if you want to share the idea of openness. It sounds like for Marie was something she really gravitated towards. And at that point, when she had still been considering adoption, openness was kind of the big factor of her wanting to go down that path.
Yeah, absolutely. Marie had quite a few families profiles to review because her situation was such that it allowed for her to match with quite a few potential families. So we had discussed, who the families were that were available to her. I had shared profiles with her. And she had actually considered one family in particular because when we talked about openness, she liked how they had conveyed an interest in having a connection with birth family. She had liked what she had learned about some of their own family history, their own connection. One of the parents had a job that was something that connected to Marie in her own life. The idea of openness and the idea of this family being able and willing to have a relationship with the children that were just born and their siblings that were their full siblings. All of the children had the same birth mother and birth father. So having openness was something that Marie had expressed as being really important and making sure that the siblings would have a connection to each other.
What was Sheila saying to you in that moment that reassured you that even if you chose parenting, that would be okay?
She was just saying, just think about what do you really want. The open adoption is an option, but parenting is also another option. And there was no pressure to go either way.
People just assume because we work for an adoption agency and we come out there that that's kind of the path that you have to take. And I think it's really great when folks like yourself are able to come onto these calls and share that we're not here to push adoption on you. We're really here to talk through all of your options. It ends up being parenting. Talk to us about when Sheila counseled you on the birth father and his participation at this point and how the wheels started changing a little bit once we got him involved.
So in Pennsylvania, it has to be both parents' decision. So even if I wanted to give them up, he would also have to agree with that. And then once he came in and he was kind of no, that's not immediately no, but he understood why I was saying maybe this is a better option just because we have the 3 at home, that adoption may be the better option right now. It really kind of changed once we held the boys, that it was all right, this is what is the right decision for the both of us.
I think one of the things, because Marie was seriously considering placement, she was feeling overwhelmed with parenting the other 3 children, dealing with some other personal things. And I think having this conversation about the option of adoption allowed her and birth father to really kind of sit down together and say, okay, what do we want for our family? And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, Marie, but I think it really kind of helped them to maybe have some conversations that maybe were not happening before, that needed to happen about their relationship, about how they were going to move forward in parenting their children. So it was good that they were kind of put in a situation where they had to have some really hard conversations that they may not have otherwise had. So is that something that
that would be accurate?
Yeah.
Well, and for folks who are listening in, again, I want them to hear this because it's so important. It could have been a very easy path for Marie to call Sheila come out, choose a family, potentially place these children with that family. But our job is to make sure that we thoroughly counsel biological mom and biological father. And I really appreciate, Marie, what you're saying, that once he got involved and you were able to have a conversation with him, that wasn't what he truly wanted, and you guys were able to talk about it, and you realized that that wasn't what you truly wanted either. So, again, there is no pressure. We do our job as social workers to make sure that we're following the law, but also being just ethical about the whole situation. So it sounds like when you spoke to him, Marie, that is when you realized that parenting would be better for the kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And then when you said that and when you shared that with the agency and with Sheila in particular, what was the reaction that Sheila gave you?
She just understood. She was I understand the decision that you're making. It wasn't I felt backlash or anything for the decision that I made.
Yeah. And how about for you, Sheila, when she did come forward and say after talking with the birth father, she felt that parenting was the right plan, what was your reaction?
I'm happy to see this family, be together, and for these parents to communicate with each other for what's in the best interest of their kids. One of the things when Marie and I talked, and we talked for a long time one morning after we had met, and it was very clear to me that this is somebody who has a loving family, and there was just some bumps that they needed to sort out. It was good that we were able to have the opportunity to help them kind of sort things out for themselves. And once I met birth father at the hospital and saw how he was with those children, I could see that he was already in love with his children. So I was glad to be able to be a part of them strengthening their bond as a couple and as parents.
Wonderful. And Marie, what does life look like today for you and the kids? How are things going?
It's going good. We're on a routine. So I'm still on maternity leave. So I have the boys at home, and then the older 3 go to school and do their daycare routine.
That's great. And as Sheila said, I think we feel satisfied knowing that we were able to support you and the birth father in figuring out what was right for your family. What advice would you give other women or men who are maybe facing an unplanned pregnancy similar to yours and trying to figure out, like, do I call Adoptions from the Heart? I'm not quite sure if adoption is the right path, but they're feeling overwhelmed and anxious about everything. What advice would you give?
I would say to make the call if they think that they might want to do adoption. Sheila helped me a lot with just like talking and helping me talk through the decision process. And there was no pressure to go the adoption route. If they think they may want to do adoption, sitting down and just getting all the information and talking it through is the best idea.
And Sheila, how about for you? What is your takeaway from, working with Marie? How does this help allow you to grow as a counselor and as a social worker moving forward and working with folks who are considering all options?
I fell in love with Marie when I met her. And I think that she's a really strong person, and she's a loving mother and really, a loving daughter. So I was grateful to have the opportunity to meet you and help you through this. Being able to just be an outside person to talk with, to get all the information, to make sure questions are answered and things are clarified, and to remove any misconceptions or ideas or prejudices that might be shared by other people. It's just good to be informed. And so I appreciated being able to provide the information, help walk her through it, help look at both sides of the coin, and then come to a decision that was best for her family.
Any final thoughts, Marie? Anything else you'd like to share with our community about this from Sheila and Adoptions from the Heart?
No, just laying out all your options if it's unplanned or just not what someone may want in that time. That's not what's right for them. Yeah, Adoptions from the Heart, Sheila really helped me with just thinking about both sides, like she said, of adoption and parenting. And I was able to get all the information that I needed, that if I were to make the adoption route, that I would have all the information I needed.
Well, Marie, we are really happy to see you in a good place. I have to say, the fact that you were willing to make that call to Adoptions from the Heart, speak to Sheila, shows the strength that you have as a woman, as a mother, to really weigh out all of your options and be well educated about the different plans that you could have potentially made for these kiddos. And then through the counseling, the support, the conversations with the biological father, you made the right choice for you and your family. And that means that things worked out the way that they should.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. We know you're a busy mom, so we appreciate you taking the time out to really share your experience and just have folks see what it's like for a woman to change her mind back. It's okay to, weigh your options and decide on adoption and then decide, what? This isn't the right plan. Parenting's the right choice for my family. And we're really happy for you, and we wish you and your family well.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully hearing from folks like Marie and Sheila will give you a better understanding of what the experience is like for women who are trying to figure out what's best for them and their families. Continue to tune in to future episodes here at Adoptions from the Heart TV. Hey guys, if you are enjoying the content here at AFTHtv, please subscribe and hit the bell.